Chapter 4 Demonstrations. Miss Mackle gave Room 2B a homework assignment for Friday. I want you to demonstrate to the class how to do something, she said. Mary raised her hand. Can I show how I braid my hair each morning? That would be a good demonstration, said Miss Mackle. I looked over at Harry. He was thinking already. At lunch, when he was twirling the spaghetti around his fork, he said, I could bring my microscope to class and show how to make a slide. What would you look at on the slide? I asked, chomping into some garlic bread. Easy, Harry replied. I'd prick my finger and put a drop of blood on the slide. Ew, blood, Ida said as she joined us at the lunch table. Blood is beautiful under the microscope, Harry replied. Blood is horrible, Mary said, sitting down next to Ida and Song Li. But, I said, it would take too long for the class to take turns to look at the slide. Probably, Harry agreed. I am going to demonstrate how to weave on a loom, Ida said. I can make pot holders and other things, mostly pot holders though. I have 11 at home. What are you doing, Song Li? Harry asked. I don't like to speak in front of class, she said. How long have you been in America? Harry asked. I come to America 1 year ago. You speak very well, Harry replied. Want to be my assistant? Song Li beamed. I help you, Harry. What is your demonstration? Harry grinned. How to make green slime. Ah! Ida and Mary replied. I help make green slime, Song Li said. Friday morning, everyone came to school with boxes and bags of stuff. Miss Mackle moved a long table in front of the class so we would have a platform to work on. She also invited the librarian, Mrs. Michelson, and the principal, Mr. Cardini. They sat in the back of the room on small chairs. Mary went first. She brought her doll and demonstrated how to braid hair. Ida went second. She showed how to make a pot holder on her loom. When she finished, she gave it to Miss Mackle. I don't get one, Mr. Cardini complained from the back of the room. Everyone laughed. I'll bring you one from home, Ida said. When it was Sydney's turn, everyone waited for him to unpack his big sack. Today I am going to demonstrate how to make a canary out of a Tinker toy. Harry made a face. I shook my head. Everyone watched as Sydney put round pieces into sticks and then made it stand alone on the table. That's a canary, he said. Everyone clapped, except Harry and me. My turn was next. I stood up with my bag of stuff and walked to the platform. I need an assistant, I said. Everyone raised his hand except Song Li. She was waiting to be Harry's assistant. Me, Sydney shouted out. I'd like to volunteer, a voice said from the back of the room. Everyone turned. It was the principal. Yes, everyone called out. The principal! I was beginning to get nervous. I wasn't planning on working with the principal. I guess I'm elected, Mr. Cardini said. Everyone watched Mr. Cardini come to the front of the room. Are you sure you want to do this? I whispered to the principal. This is the best part of my job, he whispered back to me. I get to have a little fun. I took a deep breath and pointed to the teacher's big reading chair. Please be seated, sir, I said. The principal sat down and faced the class. I took a plastic cape out of my bag and carefully put it around the principal. Then I tied it behind his neck. Today, I said, I am going to demonstrate how to. All the kids were half off their seats, watching and listening. How to spike hair. Ooh, the class shouted. Miss Mackle needed a chair. She went to sit next to the librarian in the back of the room. Let's hope my wife will like it, Mr. Cardini said. The class laughed. I took my can of mousse and sprayed the foam on Mr. Cardini's hair. He had lots of it. Slowly, I rubbed the stuff into his head. It was a funny feeling to be massaging the principal's head, but he had lots of good hair to work with. I was beginning to enjoy myself. Ah, Mr. Cardini said, that feels good. Miss Mackle raised her eyebrows at Mrs. Michelson. After you apply the mousse, I said, you take a clean comb and comb hunks of hair out like this. Every time I took a hunk of hair and combed it out, the class laughed. Miss Mackle was sinking in her chair. When I took the last hunk of hair and combed it out, I said, there, Mr. Cardini has spiked hair. Everyone applauded. I handed the principal a mirror and looked at himself. And he looked at himself. Bravissimo, he said. I think my wife just might take me out to dinner tonight. The class laughed. This time Miss Mackle and Miss Michelson did too. Harry and Sung Lee were last. Today, Harry said, my assistant Sung Lee and I are going to make green slime for you. Everyone groaned and then oohed. It's a scientist's dreams, Harry grinned. May I have a bowl, please? Sung Lee handed Harry a bowl. Cornstarch, Harry said. Sung Lee handed Harry a box of cornstarch. Measuring cup. Sung Lee handed Harry a measuring cup. Everyone in the audience turned their head from side to side as they watched Sung Lee pass things to Harry. First, Harry said, you measure 1 cup of cornstarch into a bowl. Then you measure half a cup of water and pour it into the bowl. Water, please. Sung Lee handed Harry a pitcher of water. Harry measured it and then poured it into the bowl. Stir and then add. Harry held out his hand like he wanted a scalpel or some tool. Sung Lee handed Harry a small bottle of food coloring. Squeeze 3 drops of green into the bowl. Stir, and there you have it, green slime. The class watched Harry pour the slime out of the bowl onto a sheet of wax paper. It poured like a liquid, but when Harry put a spoon in it, it cracked in half. It's magic, Sydney blurted out. Everyone clapped. Mrs. Michelson asked what Harry was going to do with the green slime now that his demonstration was over. Throw it out. My mom said she didn't want any more slime at our house. May I have it then? I'd like to show it to my husband. He's interested in science. Harry wrapped the green slime up in the wax paper and handed it to the librarian. Thank you, boys and girls, for a great afternoon, Mrs. Michelson said as she walked out the door with Mr. Cardini. Me too, the principal said, and he went back to his office with his spiked hairdo. Mrs. Foxworth, who was typing a letter, looked up and jerked back. The pencil that was on her ear went flying across her desk, hit the wall, and landed in the garbage can. Bullseye. Harry and I are glad we're at South School. Our teacher, principal, and librarian aren't afraid of anything horrible. Only our school secretaries.